What is up, RotoGrinders? Welcome to Thursday, almost 2 hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation, taking y'all straight up the lock. This is why you turn on notifications, because we are live at 4:45. 4:45? Yeah, TJ is super excited about it. Oh, what's going on there? TJ tried to get himself psyched up for the show, but myself, TJ Zwards, you guys know TJ, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Hi, TJ. As well as Keith Eister. Keith, welcome to Thursday. We got the NBA final. I thought the NBA season was over. It's like, oh my God, that's right. We got to crown a champion. I thought it was, oh yeah, totally forgot. Same thing with hockey. Yeah, I think the hockey starts Saturday, I want to say, but man, this long breaks between, I guess it was just kind of stinkers when it comes to the conference finals. But yeah. Oh, we should mention, and Chop wanted us to mention this yesterday. He didn't send me a note about this, but we should also mention later on tonight, there is a basketball show with Head Chopper and Squirrel Patrol. It's probably 7:30 before. I assume they're taking you all the way up to lock for the showdown slate. I don't know the official time just yet, but yes, Bobby in chat says Dean is here again. I am here again. Sorry, Bobby. I got bad news for you, Bobby. Myself and yourself, we're going to be on Sirius for 2 hours this weekend. So you're stuck with me for 2 hours this weekend. Feel free to give us a listen 5 to 7 Saturday night. Maybe we'll draft some best ball on here. That'll be fun. That'll be fun for sure. TJ, are you still asleep? I see in the chat you're typing that you're sleeping. Well, you got to wake up, boy. It's a 7-gamer. We need you to fill some air because we're going for an hour and 20 minutes or so. So I know later on you're going to talk a little bit of tiers, a little bit of TV, which is kind of your wheelhouse, some summer TV. But yeah, TJ, how are things otherwise? Everything all good?
Yeah, doing really well. Just been quite busy lately with all the said summer TV you just mentioned, getting ready for that, writing a lot of reviews and things of that nature. And then wrote a prize picks article for the NBA finals, and was on crunch time this morning, ready to rip here now, playing MLB lineups, playing NBA lineups. Busy. But my wife and baby are actually out of town as of 10 minutes ago for until Saturday. So we're batching it for the next 2 nights here.
Do we have plans, or is it just like sleep? You want to relax?
Oh, we're gonna sleep. We're gonna sleep. I started Red Dead Redemption 2, so I'll probably see how far I make it in that. But also Season 2 stuff drops for MLB The Show tomorrow, so there's a whole bunch of new programs, whole bunch of new tournaments and things of that nature, so might be diving into that as well.
So Keith, Michael in chat said I just listened to the morning grind, so he's gonna be looking for some inconsistencies with your takes. You got to say before the show starts, you reserve the right to change your mind the next day. This is how I feel at this exact moment. You're not necessarily locked in. That's why whenever I'm not on those shows very often anymore, but I never like to speak in definitives. Even on this show, I don't like to speak in definitives because, like, certainly there are times where I'm like, wow, I said that, but now I'm going to do this, and there's 2 minutes until lock, and this is what I got to do. God forbid I actually win something with this, and people call me a big old hypocrite. But yeah, Keith, you've been hosting actually this week, at least several times. So shout out to you for doing some hosting there, playing the role of Stevie. Are your takes exactly the same as last night?
So we reserve the right to change our mind, right? The morning grind is a first look. It's the night before. We don't have lineups. We often don't have full weather reports. We don't have ownership up, which is obviously a major deciding factor in DFS decisions. So I think I'm pretty similar to where I was last night. The Tanner Houck thing, I was not expecting Tanner Houck to get as much ownership as we're seeing. I know it's an awesome matchup, but he's priced way up. So I'm still kind of struggling what to do with Tanner Houck. Tim wasn't real into Houck last night. I thought that he had some upside here. I've talked about the fact that he's faced the same team on 3 different occasions this season. So I think that his strikeout rate is a little deflated. I was hoping that we could get Tanner Houck low owned because of that price tag, but not the case. So I think generally, though, my takes are very similar, but I do reserve the right to change some of the takes from last night. Yes.
Yeah, by all means, please go for it. You mentioned Houck. It's wild. I think he's given up 1 homer this year, 0.12 homers per 9 in 78 innings. I went to UCF, but by my math, I think that's just 1 home run all season long. His home run to fly ball rate is 2%. So, like, that's probably not sustainable, but he's also facing the White Sox. So maybe, we talked about the regression monster getting James Paxton. Oh, got him last night for sure. Maybe at some point it's going to get Houken. He's been fine, right? He's got a 1.85 ERA, and the Sierra is just 3, which is also still really good. But like that's not sustainable at 2% homer and a fly ball. But again, he is facing the White Sox. And the other tricky part as far as the slate, Keith, is that there's not a lot to love. Sonny Gray, chalk, 34-year-old Sonny Gray is very much of a chalk piece. It's picking on, you're picking on Colorado on the road. They're horrendous. And you're picking on the White Sox, who are horrendous as well. I think they've lost. I was watching the walk-off. You probably saw this, actually. You're a Cubs fan. I'm sure you saw the walk-off last night for Tauchman. Did you happen to catch like the White Sox broadcast? They're so Hawk's not there anymore. He must be out of his mind, miserable, drinking himself into a lather. But Jose was it Ozzie Guillen? Remember, Ozzie Guillen, former manager. He's like, look, I get paid to do this, but I'm a fan, and like I'm getting paid to be like hurt. This hurts me watching this. Do you feel bad at all as a Cub fan for the White Sox fans, or you don't care?
Yeah, I mean, I hold no ill will towards the White Sox as a team. Their fans are a little bit annoying just because it's a one-sided rivalry for the Sox and the Cubs, right? Like the White Sox fans care tremendously, where Cubs fans are just like, whatever. I think that's the general consensus of how that rivalry is. I certainly care more about what the Cardinals and the Brewers are doing on a daily basis than the White Sox. But I don't like to see any franchise go through this major of struggles. Like it's rough out there. So I do have a little empathy for what's going on the south side of Chicago there.
I think it's a 13 straight or so, and the announcers are like, I just can't stand this song anymore. The Cubs song.
That's the whole White Sox thing. Like they just despise everything that the Cubs do more than they even care for their own team. That's the most frustrating thing about White Sox fans.
Zachary DeLoach is leading off today for the White Sox, and Duke Ellis is just the names on this team are kind of hilarious. They have Luis Robert, he's back, so there you go. That's going to turn things all around for sure. We got every single lineup with the exception of San Diego. I'm not sure. Most likely, it seems like Machado's got that hip, so he's probably not going to play tonight. And it's a later game too, so that probably is not what's holding them back as far as releasing their lineup. TJ, you with me? TJ is nodding off mid-show.
I'm here. I'm listening. I'm ready.
Were his eyes closed?
They were drifting, but my mind wasn't. And as soon as you throw it to me, I'm gonna be ready to go full. All this is energy conservation. I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it here and dialed so that as soon as you throw it to me, I'm here. I'm ready to go. But I only have a certain amount of gas in the tank, so I gotta keep it. Gotta keep it ready.
You don't have like a Monster or a Rockstar or a Red Bull or a 5-hour any of that stuff on the ready.
You know what? I got an Arizona iced tea upstairs, so that's not a lot of caffeine, but it's a little bit of sugar that might just do something. So maybe I'll go grab that quick.
I was just going to say for the viewers, maybe someone can DoorDash TJ like a Monster or a Red Bull.
No, we'll do it. I'm going to go get a drink. And then I'm going to be fine.
I didn't mean to guilt you into getting a drink, but I mean, was I wrong in pointing that out? I thought it was kind of funny, but I thought he was drifting off on us. I was just trying to give him a polite nudge, Keith. I don't know. Hopefully, again, it's a rough life. He had a child recently. He's trying to figure stuff out. He's got multiple jobs, so. Yeah, hopefully we'll get TJ coming back and refreshed with his Arizona tea. It is a 7-gamer, Keith, and are we leaning into the chalk? You kind of talked about Tauk last night, and he's going to be popular because he kind of sort of has to be popular because who else, right? Not as popular as Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray currently getting 50% ownership on DK. Again, 14 pitchers, got to roster 2 of these guys. Hunter Green's pretty interesting. I did write this up, and I think one of the interesting things about Green, the K rate is down this year like 5%, still like 25%, which is good. I guess it's good that Christian Morel's in the lineup because, he's got plenty of power, but he also will strike out if looking for upside. He hit himself in the shin last night. I thought he might not play today, but he is. But no pitcher in baseball has a longer leash than Hunter Green. He averages over 101 pitches per start, like 101.4 if you want to get all technical. I believe Zach Wheeler is right behind him. And then the Lopez, good pitcher, good offense. And I'm curious to get your stand on that. But it peters out pretty quickly, Keith, as far as pitching options. What is your general approach? Or you want to just give me the overview first, and then we can knock out your general pitching approach?
Yeah, overview. I mean, I think there's a lot of solid options. You can kind of poke some holes in each of them. For Sonny Gray, like Sonny Gray is the one I feel most confident in, but so does the field, which is the problem. I feel like that 8K range right below him, even 9,100 Ronaldo Lopez, like it wouldn't surprise me if any of those four names, skipping Marcus Stroman, but Lopez, Bueller, the other Lopez, and Green, like it wouldn't surprise me if any of those four were the highest scoring pitcher on this slate. So I kind of feel like I'm going to have to be underweight on Sonny Gray to go underweight on that range, just because the ownership gap is so massive there. Straight up, there's no doubt Sonny Gray is my favorite pitcher on the slate, but that's what the field's saying as well. On the offensive side, we've got two teams with team totals over 5. One of them is the really expensive Dodgers. The other one is the quite affordable Boston Red Sox. So I think offense is just kind of a mixed bag for me. You've got the Cubs and Reds game in a phenomenal ballpark there as well. Two pitchers who haven't really given up homers this year, though. Hunter Green, one thing that he's been really good at this season is limiting barrels, which was a massive problem for him the last couple of seasons. He just hasn't given up near as many homers as he has in the past season. So that's an interesting note for Hunter Green. Maybe not as much upside as we think, but maybe less home run risk. But I still have both interest in both offenses there in Cincinnati because of the ballpark. But I think it's really, you can play pretty much any offense that you want. Nothing really standing out to me offensively.
Yeah, Green down to 26% Ks this year. You mentioned the homers are down as well, which is tricky in that ballpark, and his historical fly ball issues as well, just 0.64 per 9 of homer and a fly ball at 6%. You mentioned Ronaldo Lopez, and I was talking about regression. He's another guy that's due. I don't know if it happens today. Washington's generally not the team that kind of gets you offensively. But 0.31 homers per 9, 3.4% homer and a fly ball, 268 BABIP, 82% left on base, 173 ERA, almost a 4 Sierra. Like his Sierra is double the ERA. He's not my favorite amongst that group of like the kind of ran up some pitchers there, and for all those reasons. By the way, no Will Smith today in the Dodgers lineup. You mentioned the Dodgers. No Will Smith, and I'm going to be a little bit different today as far as my stacks too. If you read the expert survey today, you probably know where I'm going. We'll be talking about that later on when it comes to our stacks. TJ, did we get our Arizona? How we feeling? We're good now?
I mean, we're still a little sleepy, but I'm not going to let you catch me slipping again. I'm going to lean forward. The eyes are open. No more reading chat below my level of eyesight so that it looks like the eyes are closed. Like we're going to be alert now.
All right. Fair enough. Good. You can power on through to the rest of the show. Yeah, I'm curious your thoughts. By the way, my joke, I can't make my joke today as far as Royce Lewis. They're asking in chat whose joke I'm going to steal. I was going to steal my own joke. Royce Lewis. I don't know if you guys are sitting down or not. Royce Lewis, every single game he's played this year, every single game, all the games he's played in the majors this year, he's hit a home run. But he's not playing today. He's not starting, so he can't make – no Buxton either. Like, almost like they're afraid to get their players injured or something. But, yeah, Lewis and Buxton are out for that Minnesota lineup today. Not to really, I really want to roster Stroman, but I think it's a better matchup for him. But he's too wild, and the Ks aren't great. Like 19% strikeouts, 10% walks. I guess he's in the mix, and it's a little bit easier. The power threats are out. 2 of the power threats, at least. There's some others that are lurking. But yeah, TJ, your thoughts as far as the overview on this 7-gamer?
My first thought was that I was honestly tempted to just, in 150 lineups, lock button Sonny Gray and lock button Tanner Houck. But then looking at it, like, it's really, really easy to get overweight on some of these pitchers I don't feel great about, but if they have a ceiling game, could be very valuable if one of those guys fail. And so, because there aren't a lot of other guys on the slate that are like 30-ish% owned, that I would just want to go XX. I'll get overweight on the lower owned guys because I'm Xing out these ones. I'm probably not going to do the walk on Sonny Gray and Houck thing. I'll try and get underweight on Gray, and I'm going to try and get overweight on Tanner Houck.
Muted, Dean. Dean.
Oh no! Bad job by me. All right, I'm on mute. My apologies. I was reading the comment in chat from Mr. Richard, who was basically reading TJ's mind. You guys are thinking along the same lines there. locking in Gray and Hauk. 16 lineups. Well, you're running 150, I assume, TJ. You kind of referenced the 150. But like you thought about it, but it's not. You can't do it. Wow, that is a large font of mute count. I feel really bad. All right, officially one. Yeah, the mute count's at 1-0-0 is the official score so far for mutes. Will is on later, by the way, so I still like my chances if I can just fade the mutes, press it away. I might push. And I'm on air for more time. He's only got like 40 minutes or so for crunch time, give or take. Okay, so are we okay with that, TJ or Keith? You want to have a thought? I think Keith, you're probably running at 20 or 40, depending on. I don't think it's bonkers to just lock in Gray and Hauk and just spread out as far as your stacks. Is that something we would consider doing?
Yeah, I would definitely consider it. But I just feel like that group right below has as much upside. Yes, that Gray and Hauk have the better matchups. There's no question about that. But as far as like talent level of pitcher, unless you truly buy what Sonny Gray is doing this year with a strikeout rate that's basically the highest of his career, I feel like all these pitchers are in a similar talent level bucket. Like there's no one that stands above the rest. So they're getting the most ownership because of the matchup more so than their skills. And again, Sonny Gray is the one that you could argue maybe stands above the rest, but for me, I'm not going down that path because I do like the group just below them.
I don't buy it, by the way, for the record. 34%. He's not going to have 33.5% Ks the rest of the season. But he doesn't need that necessarily on this slate against that team. It's sort of right. That's kind of my counter to it.
Like he's underpriced for this matchup too. He should probably, if he truly is a 30+% strikeout pitcher, he should probably be 10.5 instead of 9.5 for this matchup.
TJ, have you settled as far as what you're doing with your 150 pitchers wise? Are you still kind of like bouncing around ideas?
No, still bouncing around ideas. There are currently 8 total players in the pool in terms of pitchers right now, but very likely to pair that to like 5 or 6.
Do you want to mention it is Thursday, and what does Thursday mean? Well, it's Fleet Thursday. It's Athlete Thursday. If you like Movie Monday, then you'll love Fleet Thursday. It's the same game, except you got to tell me what athlete we're talking about. Where do you answer these questions? You answer them in the Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Jump in the live stream chat channel. Be the first person to answer correctly who we're talking about, and you get yourself a week free of RG Premium. TJ and Keith do not know the answers. You guys can play along in our little chat. I think one of you guys would get to it eventually. We'll see. I should have dropped it earlier because I should have rewarded the people for showing up early and actually turning on notifications at 4:45. Again, but not that this is going to help you. It's not going to help you. But the clue number 1 is it'll help in the big puzzle. But initially, no. If you get it right now, I retire. Fleet Thursday is over. I will walk off the show, and Keith he'll have to do it by himself because TJ's
Dan Marino.
Yes, there you go. You nailed it. Congratulations. All right. So football is the first clue. So feel free to give your guesses into the live stream chat channel, and you can get yourself a week free of RGA Premium. That's for all the sports: football, baseball, basketball, soccer. Is there soccer? I think there's soccer. Hockey. Don't hold it against me. WNBA, PGA, all the goods, all the bells, all the whistles. Okay. Do we want to play the feud, TJ? Do you have 8 names or for sure, or not necessarily? It's kind of fluid right now.
It's fluid, but like for the sake of the show, it can be 8 right now. And then when guessed, I'll tell people like this is potentially going to be cut from my pool. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. So Sonny Gray, I assume, is got it just to kind of get the low hanging fruits before we kind of get going here.
I'll play Sonny Gray, but I may very well be underweight.
Yeah, it's not 50% is under as of right now. So there you go.
I will say as well before we get too deep into the show, 200 people watching on YouTube, 33 likes. As soon as we hit 50 likes, I got the first Spidey Bomb. 75 likes, I got the second, and 100 likes, I got the third Spidey Bomb.
All right. Do you want to throw out a name, Keith, that you feel confident is in TJ's current pitcher pool?
Let's go ahead and get Tanner Hauk knocked out.
All right.
Yeah, I haven't built any lineups yet, but I can pretty much guarantee Tanner Hauk will be my highest owned pitcher today.
Okay. Let's see if we can sweep the board without any X's. Let's try to make it work that way. I'm going to say, well, the aforementioned Hunter Green's got to be on the board. He's got to be in the pool. Potential upside, longest leash in the business. So, TJ, you got to have Hunter Green in the board, yes?
I do, but I am considering going underweight on that 23%. Just because, like I don't love him as the third highest owned pitcher today, but I agree that leash is just something that you can't really ignore. The ceiling is there because of that leash, and therefore I want to have him in the pool. Hunter Green will be there, but I don't love him as the third highest owned pitcher, so I might try and get a little underweight.
All right. And your official Hunter Green take there, Keith? I know we kind of mentioned him a couple times, but what's your official thought process right now as far as Hunter Green?
This Cubs offense is struggling mightily over like the last month. So I am very into Hunter Green at 8,200. It is a back-to-back. He faced the Cubs last Saturday. It's worth noting that game, it was like raining the entire game. So I'm not holding anything against him. He did give up 5 runs in that start. I'm willing to go back to it. I wish it wasn't a back-to-back start, and Hunter Green might be my favorite pitcher on the slate. But because it is a back-to-back start, I have a little bit of reservations about the strikeout upside. They're down anyway, like Dean mentioned, to begin this season. I feel like this Cubs offense has plenty of swing and miss in it, though, so I still think he's a little bit too cheap for this matchup. At home, a fly ball pitcher in a great home run park is always risky, but I like the upside here for Green.
Mute count 2, Dean.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable. I can't believe it. I had to cough a couple times, and I just
turns out I'm not the one sleeping today.
No, I'm. Oh boy, there is the confirmed. What happens in the third mute? I feel like that's got to be it, right? If somebody just kicks me off the show, like literally, that's terrible. That's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for myself. I was running down the plate IQ for the Cubbies, and Suzuki at 28% as far as strikeouts, Morel at 22%, Happ at 28%, Swanson at almost 30%. There's a lot of Ks in this lineup. There's some contact guys too, and Horner. Horner basically is the contact guy. Like the ones in the green, but like not really green. Like Tachman at 20% is green, but that's still plenty of Ks. So I think you're supposed to have some green. That's three names we knocked off the board. TJ, is that right? I think it's 3, correct?
Correct.
Okay, Keith. I think it's your call, right? I think we're gonna get there. I think we're gonna sweep this board.
I think the first 6, I think will be okay. It's going to get a little dicey at the end. But I feel pretty confident in this next one. Walker Buehler has been over 90 pitches in his last 2 starts. Yeah. Gets a nice ballpark upgrade going into Pittsburgh. I feel like pretty confident Walker Buehler is in TJ's pool.
I do not have Walker Buehler in the pool.
Look what happens.
Yeah. He is his bat projection is just not looking very good for that price. I think
you
if
have to know that Derek Carty is an ultimate Walker Buehler hater. Just throwing that out there. I love Carty and I love his projections. But he hates Walker Buehler.
I'm not much of a Walker Buehler fan myself.
Nor am I.
So I don't think it's bad to play Walker Buehler by any means. But if I'm going to play a pitcher not named Sonny Gray or Houck, I want to get cheaper than that. There's one other guy above 8K not named Hunter Green that is right now in the pool as well, but I'm thinking of Xing him. If I'm not playing Houck or Gray or even Green, I kind of want to go cheaper.
One other guy between who'd you say between Buehler and Gray? Is that what you said?
There's only more than Hunter Green. There. I have one other person more expensive than Hunter Green in my pool, not named Gray or Houck.
Okay, so I don't think it's Lopez. I don't have this is not an official guess. I just don't think it's Lopez. I shouldn't say that. I should say Ronaldo Lopez. There's 2 Lopez's. I think there's a chance it's Pablo Lopez, who's been kind of rough this year by his standards, and the Yankees are really good, but I think he's interesting for tournaments. I'm going to go the other way, though, and I'm going to leave that decision for Keith. And I'm going to be a little bit ambitious. I don't know if it's ambitious or not. I think it's one of my favorite cheapies on this slate. It's Mitchell Parker. I think he's my favorite cheapie. Taking on his stats are pretty good. Like he wasn't supposed to be very good, but so far, he looks pretty good. The swinging strikes at 11%, backs up a 21% K rate. The walks have been pretty much in check at 5.9%. The Sierra's solid, 3.73, essentially in line there with the ERA, and he's cheap enough. And Atlanta, we know this team, Atlanta, they've been kind of somewhat disappointing that they're without their best bat, right? And Acuna. I think that's my favorite cheapie. If I'm playing a cheapie today, that's who it's going to be. Mitchell Parker. Am I correct? Am I on the right path here? Or is it someone? I mean, come on. You're not playing Randy Vasquez over him or Jake Woodford. If you got to save salary today, I think it's Mitchell Parker.
Mitchell Parker is, in fact, in the pool. He's projected for 4% ownership right now. Very easy to get a heavily overweight on that. I'll probably be in the 20-ish% range. Atlanta does have a very dangerous offense still, but they strike out, and they're a lot less dangerous without Ronald Acuna. So I'll stack Atlanta, but I will also have Mitchell Parker. The other player I was considering having in the pool above 8K was Marcus Stroman, but I've X'd him out already. Just he was having a string of games where it was like 18, 20, 22 points every single day. But looking at plate IQ with this Minnesota team, and just none of them are ground ball hitters, it doesn't really seem like the type of team he'll be able to just ground ball his way through 6 or 7 innings.
Yeah. Did you have a thought as far as Parker, Keith?
Yeah, I'm with both of you guys. I think that this is a very fair matchup for him. He's been much better than expected. He wasn't really much of a prospect coming up, but like looking at his body of work in the majors so far, he's been legitimate. Swinging strike rate's like 11%. It's not the elite Braves offense that we expected coming into the season. The unfortunate Acuna injury, Sean Murphy has been banged up a ton. Austin Riley hasn't quite gotten his season going yet. So it's just not as frightening of a Braves lineup. And I think Mitchell Parker truly has some skills. Just looking at some of the underlying stuff, like the estimators are all in line with his ERA. The strikeout percentage is backed up by his swinging strikes. So I'm kind of buying what Mitchell Parker is doing here. So I will be over the field on Parker as well.
Brian Anderson also starting for Atlanta as well. I guess that's for Kelnick. I guess they didn't want to go left on left there. Although Parker, I believe, is reverse splitsy, what we've seen so far, or what he's been in the past, kind of looking at him historically. But okay, no.
We
Kelnick
have
today.
reached enough likes for Spidey Bomb #1, so I'm going to interrupt because I know we got people asking for them in chat. Shout out to John. He's playing snake drafts. He needs his Spidey Bombs early. We're only 15 likes away from the second one, so keep bumping them up. But the first one, my favorite home run bet of the day, the only one I put multiple units on and didn't just include as a small little. Typically what I do is I bet a whole bunch of players. I sorry, I got distracted with your message in private chat. I do like it $1 on a bunch of different players, and then I parlay them all together from like doubles all the way through like 7, 8, 9, 10, however many it is. And this is the only one where I put multiple units on them and not just included in the parlay. It is Nolan Gorman. You can get him for +4 at 75.
The thing I wanted out about Stroman, by the way, is like he's just like never going to be the pitcher that's like the top pitcher on the slate. I know that's famous last words, but like, what is his route? Like, if he throws a no hitter, I suppose they'll keep him around, and maybe he throws a Maddox or something like that. But like, it's possible he's fine. Like, there's a decent chance he's fine, but he's never. I don't like to speak in definitives. Almost never the guy like, oh man, I can't believe I didn't have Stroman and now I'm going to lose. Like, what does that ever happen? But the other thing I noticed, you guys were talking about Buehler and his projections and how Cardi and the bat hates Buehler. About a 3-point difference in projection on DK, which I thought was a pretty big gap. RG projections like Buehler more than Cardi does.
I will say Cardi absolutely nailed Buehler not being elite. He was screaming that as soon as Buehler came up, and like the early part of his career, it looked like he might be a 30% strikeout guy. Cardi was all over that. So I don't want to throw any shade on Cardi, but he is notoriously
He hates Cardi.
Most systems.
Like, not just his projection system, but like personally as a man, Keith hates him.
He's DM'ing me about it. It's weird. It's an awkward. I don't know what to say.
Derek knows that's not the truth. We've shared a cocktail or two.
It's a weird slate, Keith, because like a lot of these pitchers are like overachievers, right? Ronaldo Lopez this year, 1.73 ERA, 3.83 Sierra. Houck this year, very good, but 1.85 ERA. That's not going to, unless he's the greatest pitcher alive, a 3 Sierra. We didn't talk about Javier Assad yet. Another guy has been crazy lucky. If you look at all the other metrics, 2.27 ERA, a 4.11 Sierra. This is like the regression monster slate. It's a bunch of dudes that have been really good, but like I don't totally believe. I mean, Bailey Falter has been fine, a 3.22. Quantrill has been all right, a 3.84 ERA. Half his games in cores. We got to figure out which of these guys are frauds and which not so much. I guess we didn't talk about Pablo Lopez, but the way that TJ was talking, maybe he was not in his pool because like he basically said there's one guy that was left that was Stroman, and Stroman got kicked out. So I'm not sure. Did he allude to Lopez not being in the pool? We're trying to figure out who's still left.
You
want to confirm that?
Nobody over 8K is left, so we're dumpster diving now.
All right. Well, I told you the only guy that I'm willing to roster is Mitchell Parker, I think, and I only make a few lineups, so I don't make 150. So I can be a little bit more selective. I'm not rostering Randy Vasquez or Jake Woodford or Slade Ciccone, Bailey Falter. I'm not getting there. Javier Assad, I think, is kind of a fraud. It's a bad ballpark as well. So, Keith, do you have a favorite amongst all that nonsense?
There's a name you didn't mention, or at least I missed it if you did. Cal Quantrill. He put a string of 5 amazing starts together in May. His last start, he got beat up by the Dodgers. But what if that was just a really good team? His strikeout rate in May in 5 starts was 27%. I don't know where that came from. We've never seen that Cal Quantrill before. St. Louis has also been one of the best offenses in baseball in the last 30 days. So it's not a good matchup. They're finally playing to their talent level there in St. Louis. Cal Quantrill is a fully stretched out starting pitcher. We have him projected for 95 pitches. Like, he's going to be out there throwing baseballs. I have no idea if he's even an above average strikeout pitcher, let alone 27%. He's down around like 17 to 18% for his career, and that's what he's at on the season. But I have some Cal Quantrill. Maybe TJ does too.
TJ?
I do, in fact, have Cal Quantrill in the pool. He's 6K. He's been weirdly good. I don't need him to be that good at 6K. I just need him to give me 14, 15 points, because this is the type of slate that if one of Houck or Gray fail, like if one of them weirdly gets blown up or they get hurt or they get pulled early for some reason, the next highest scorer on the slate may be 16 points. And so if you get that from a 6K pitcher, and that's the second highest scorer on the slate, that's going to be huge. And so I'm a big fan of that one.
All right. Let's give out the second clue, by the way, for Fleet Thursday. First clue, it only gets you so far, right? First clue is football. Second clue is retired. Give me the answer. Let me know in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel. You only get one guess per clue. Next clue coming in about 5-10 minutes or so. We'll knock that out. Tell me who we're talking about on a Fleet Thursday. We should, do we get the entire board, TJ? Is there anybody else there lurking? We said 8-ish, maybe.
There are 2 more players in the pool.
2 more players in the pool. Who have we not? Okay, so we didn't officially guess Pablo Lopez or Ronaldo Lopez, but it sounded like from context clues. You know what? You're probably rostering some Randy Vasquez, aren't you? You probably just to get some nonsense. I'm going to say Randy Vasquez.
Randy Vasquez is in the pool. He's 5,600. Why the heck not? Yeah.
That's the pitch, right? That's
literally the pitch. Arizona has been nowhere near as good this year. He's a decent ground ball guy. If he gets me 6 innings, bang.
You have a thought there? Anything to expand on that, Keith? Or it's just like he's cheap and he's throwing baseballs and you never know?
Yeah, that's my take. I don't especially love the matchup. Arizona's definitely been much better against lefties than they have against righties. So I think there's a chance that he could find some success in this matchup here. it's worth noting he's been awful to left-handed batters. So I really like some Arizona lefties when we get to the bats portion of the show. But I don't hate Vasquez. He's cheap enough where he doesn't need to do all that much to pay off his price tag. I don't think there's a ton of strikeout upside in this matchup against Arizona, but as long as he can work around those lefties, I think he can survive.
TJ, can you tell us who's left standing, who we haven't officially ruled out or ruled in? That'll make things much easier if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course the dogs are barking right as you would ask that, but asked and not asked and still on the board. Reynaldo Lopez, Pablo Lopez, Slade Ciccone, Bailey Falter, Javi Assad, Jake Woodford.
Okay, so it's one of the Lopez's. Which Lopez is it, Keith? Is it Pablo or is it Ronaldo?
I thought he already said that he doesn't have anyone in that 8K range other than.
I think he might have said he might have stopped it at Bueller, possibly. I'm not sure. Unless it's like Assad.
I'm with Steve. I'm with producer Steve. I think it's Javier Assad.
It is Javi Assad. There was no context clues. Keith was right. It was just straight up me saying, I have no one else over 8K. And so, yes, okay. Javi Assad is the last guy. Another guy that just could. This is a really ground ball heavy Cincinnati team. They've been absolutely popping lately. I'll have Cincinnati stacks as well. But it's a very ground ball heavy team. He's a good ground ball guy. He could just rack up 6 innings of clean ball here. And that would be enough.
All right. Keith, you want to put the a bow on this pitching slate? I think we talked it into the ground. People in the chat, they want us to talk about some hitters. Zachary Deloach. So we're excited about talking about that. The leadoff hitter today for Chicago. He is 2K crapper, professionally trained to hit baseballs theoretically. But we'll talk about stacks in a second. People are guessing the Fleet Thursday in chat. Even if you're correct, and I'm not saying if you are or you aren't. Even if you are correct, it would not count. You actually have to actually lock it in the Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel. All right, and apparently somebody got it.
There hasn't even been a real clue yet. How can you get
it?
I got it on one, so
yeah, I don't. TJ, am I glasses mirrored or something? Can you see this on my screen by staring at me?
No.
How did you see this? How did you know this?
My thought. Can I tell you my thought process now, or do you want to wait?
You got one of these, or do you have an almanac too? Like, how did you know that?
I can tell you my thought process right now. But like, if you'd rather I wait until all the clues are out, I can.
Go for it.
Well,
you know what? Let's wait. Let's let the people play it out. Let's let them play it out.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can't believe somebody already got it. At least I don't have to retire it because they got it on 2, I suppose.
I mean, there's only thousands and thousands of retired football players. This is.
It was literally the first one that popped into my head, and it was like I got there with like logic too.
Yeah. All right. I am curious to hear your thought process, but whatever it is, it's going to tilt me for sure. I got to make this game. I thought I made this game harder. Like how do you guess? There's no shame in not knowing what it is right now. Keith, give me the summary as far as pitchers.
All right, pretty strong at the top. 2 outstanding matchups for both Sonny Gray and Tanner Houck. Ownership is going with them. I am much stronger on that next 8K range than TJ is. Some really talented pitchers here. My favorite in the range is Walker Buehler. Feel good about the pitch count now that we've seen him go over 90 twice. Like the ballpark upgrade going into Pittsburgh. I have a little bit of Pablo Lopez in my pool. I hate the matchup. The Yankees have been the best offense in baseball recently. But Pablo has some strikeout upside. Maybe he gets lucky there. Hunter Green is the one that's most interesting to me at 8,200. I think there's a lot of strikeouts in the Cubs lineup. Green's strikeouts down a little bit, but so are his home runs. Dean also mentioned his enormous leash could go very deep into this game if things are going well for him. A little bit cheaper in the 7K range, Javier Assad, interesting, but tough ballpark to pitch in. Mitchell Parker would be my favorite in the range. He's been really solid this year. Atlanta, not quite as strong of an offense as we thought they were going to be coming into the season. And then just punt cheap stuff. I'm looking at Cal Quantrill would be my favorite, followed by Randy Vasquez.
I have added Walker Buehler to the pool.
Oh, did you kick anybody out?
I did not kick anybody out. I just added Walker Buehler. 1, because he has an extreme pitchers umpire tonight. 2, because Keith is a smart man, and if Keith says it's a good play, I'm gonna have him, and I'm gonna have a piece of him.
Yeah. So Jose was just asking in chat about the extreme umpire stuff. We have 2 extreme umpires tonight. Extreme pitchers umpire, like you alluded to, for Walker Buehler and Bailey Falter. 1 extreme hitters umpire, that's for Javier Assad and Hunter Green. 1 no umpire just yet, because I believe that's a brand new series. It is a brand new series, Boston and the White Sox. So we don't have the umpire data just yet. TJ, anything else you want to add as far as pitchers, or we're good?
No, I think I'm good. What I think concluded is not the same 8 players, but back at 8 pitchers in my pool today of 150 lineups. I will be choosing between Houck, Gray, Green, and Parker for the 3-entry max that I'm doing. My highest owned guy today is going to be Houck, and then my tier 2 is going to be Gray, Buehler, Parker, Quantrill, and I'm going to go a little underweight on Green.
I just dropped Roth's weather report. Nothing really too alarming, but he'll be on in a half hour if anything kind of pops up. But we do have yellow-green for LA and Pittsburgh, yellow-green for Atlanta, Washington, yellow-green for Minnesota and the Yankees. So just keep an eye on those. We'll see if it changes. And again, Roth will be on in a half hour, and he'll be joined on Crunch Time with, I believe it's Taylor Smith and Chief. And hopefully Chief has a tricky day with the mute button, because we're betting over 2.5. Am I getting like plus 190 on that? What's the current TK spread on it? I don't know, but I got to redeem
plus
myself.
110 at best.
Plus 110.
She's usually good for a couple, yeah.
Yeah, and possibly internet freeze as well. I don't know if we're going to combine those two. It's like hits and walks. All right, let's go ahead and talk stacks, talk our favorite stacks, 14 teams. We'll talk about it in a second. Before we officially reveal the board, Keith, you have not seen this just yet, but TJ knocked it out for us today. TJ, tell the people the category. Maybe they'll put what they're most looking forward to, and then explain your board. We're going to have producers T throw the board up on the screen in just a second.
All right. The board today is summer television, because this is the by the way, I for sure would have got it at no rings, regardless, even if I wasn't right in the right wheelhouse today. But I'm going with summer TV show, because this is the best summer television slate I have ever seen in my lifetime. Number 5 is not bad by any means. Number 5 is a good show, but it's a show I personally have no interest in. I'm not going to be watching, just because I don't like the franchise. And so it does still fit my personal tier rankings. And it also fits well because there are kind of like a big 5 of summer TV shows this year. And so all 5 of them get to make the list, but the 5th one, I don't really care about.
All right. Let's see if the chat is throwing out some options as well. Not amongst your 5, and the board's going to reveal itself in just a second. We'll show it off to the people. Clipped, which I guess just started. I've not started watching that, but I don't know if you watched the Lakers show on HBO. I'm forgetting the name of the Lakers show that was on HBO.
Winning Time. I love
there you
that
go.
show. I'm
Good
so
job.
sad
Yeah. Yeah. Loved it. Well, there's only so much that story. I feel like it was an expensive show because they had a lot of pricey actors in there. I feel like that's part of the reason why it was canceled. No, John C. Reilly he's not cheap. But now, if you love the Lakers one, Clipped is out on FX. I guess it just started last night or a couple days ago. Ed O'Neill is starring as I think he's starring as the Al Bundy, right? He's starring as the what was the guy's name? The owner for the Clippers, Donald Sterling. I think he's Donald Sterling. So I'm curious to check that out. Did you consider that? Was it others receiving votes, TJ, or are you aware this is a thing?
Sorry, for what? Other for the TV shows, am I aware of that show? Yes, I am aware. I just haven't got to it yet. It doesn't kind of make the same tier.
Yeah. I feel like they just Lakers was exciting. What else can we do? And also, there's some story there too as well, obviously, with the Clippers. Also, I'm pulling up and trying to see what else you may have missed, or see if the people are throwing other options out there in the chat. Cobra Kai, is a Cobra Kai new season coming up soon? I feel like it's been a while since we had a new season of Cobra Kai. That's got to be coming up. Red Scale
it's in production right now. I'll see when it's getting released.
I think it's the final season.
Yeah.
Which it's it's a. Did you like Cobra Kai? I assume you've watched it.
So they're doing the stupid thing that Netflix does recently that's really annoying, where they're releasing it in 2 parts. And so the first half of the season is releasing July 15th, and the second half isn't releasing until sometime in November. And then the third part, they're releasing 3 parts, not 2, isn't coming out till 2025.
That's their move when the show is basically over. When they're trying to stretch it as long as possible, that's their move. They're just like, how do we make this last a little bit longer? Like even Sopranos did that.
Maybe for your big shows, release them weekly as opposed to on the binge model.
But that's kind of like their whole model was like people.
For sure, but it's like either dive into your model or just do weekly for the big shows. But this is the worst of both worlds.
You don't think they're going to get complaints of like, I can't believe this isn't just all thrown up here? Like, what do I pay for Netflix? So
it still is, though. That's still the issue. That's still the issue because you're only getting one part at a time.
All right. Let's go ahead and show the board. All right. I see what's going to pop up there in a second. There we go. House of the Dragon at the top, the Bear second. I would put that first, but they're both things I'm looking forward to. I've never heard of the Acolyte, but you told me. You told me that's a lot of fun in the Star Wars world. The Boys is starting in a week, I think. I saw a clip today on the Twitter. That should be a fun watch for sure. And Rings of Power, definitely not something for me. Like you said, it's not for you. And you rank this like TJ style, kind of, sort of, somewhat, and like.
TJ style. Where like nothing is full on garbage by any means. These are the top 5 that my website will be covering. The 5th one I just have no interest in. House of the Dragon is objectively the #1 show this summer. It's going to have by far the most viewers. It's probably going to be the most critically rated outside of maybe The Bear. That's why The Bear comes in as 2. It's going to be the awards darling show. It's going to win all the Emmys. It's going to be 96% or something on Rotten Tomatoes when it comes out. The Acolyte is a brand new Star Wars show. It's exciting because not only is it a fun and well-made Star Wars show, but it's 100 years before anything we've seen in the Star Wars universe before. So you could dive into it without having ever seen a Star Wars movie and be perfectly fine. You're going in knowing as much of anybody else. And then The Boys, my goodness, it shouldn't be as low as a 4, but I can't rank it above any of those shows. It's incredible. I can't wait for it. The only knock on it is it's the one of like the other 3. Now, I'm not as big of a Game of Thrones guy, so that's not for me as much as it is for the people. But I could wait a little bit longer for The Boys if I had to. I'm going to enjoy every single episode that comes out. It's going to be awesome. But what's going to happen? It's going to be they're going to almost get Homelander by the end. They're not quite going to get Homelander.
Spoilers.
And there's going to be a lot of shock value in between. But we know this show isn't nearing its end yet, and they're kind of in a phase of what's going to happen. And so I'm excited for it to shock me and for it to be awesome, but it's the one that I feel like I could just wait a little longer for.
The chat is speculating how bored Keith is right now, and also if Keith is they're all suspecting you're not a Cobra Kai fan. Can you confirm or deny?
This is all pretty much way over my head. Like, I think I've seen one of the shows on the list here.
Which one?
Yeah.
The Bear. Keith's seen The Bear.
Yeah.
You like The Bear?
Yeah. Yeah, good TV. And I'm not knocking any of these shows. I haven't seen them.
Fair enough. I'll tell you who's knocking is Butto. Butto Jenkins says, shame on you, TJ. The Boys should be above House of the Dragon. Shame on you. He wrote shame on you twice.
I will be watching The Boys ahead of House of the Dragon. I like it better. I can't even confirm that. I just don't know enough about the Game of Thrones lore.
Yeah. So you're ranking this on behalf of the people and not on behalf of yourself?
This is the masses. This is how the masses would rank the shows this summer in terms of how excited they are for them.
Fair enough.
Having said that, I do think Rings of Power will probably be the 3rd most watched show on this list.
Several people excited about Umbrella Academy, which I'm told is good. I've not started that, but that is on the Netflix. I think it's their last season 4, but I've never seen it before, but some people say it's good. Okay. Very first game on the slate. It's Walker Buehler taking on Bailey Falter. We talked about pitchers, umpire in this game, a 9 total. Dodgers have a team total just above 5, one of the biggest team totals on the board, locked in for 9 innings. No Will Smith in this lineup for what it's worth. Austin Barnes is in there. We have producer Steve already guessing where the teams are going. Let's see how accurate they may or may not be. Let's start with TJ. You made the board, so let's go ahead, TJ. Tell us where the Dodgers and Pirates are going. Keith will confirm or deny. If we have any issues, I'll break ties.
I think Dodgers up to House of the Dragon. I think they are the top overall raw point stack on the slate. Maybe not the just very best one because of their prices, but there are some cheap guys in there. And while we do have to worry a little bit about pinch hit risk, I still think they make the top tier. Pirates, I would probably put Rings of Power right at the bottom. If Walker Buehler was going to be 30% owned, I would be bumping them up and I'd be playing lots of them. But extreme pitchers umpire, good pitcher against them, pitchers park, and Buehler's not all that high owned, so I don't really see any reasons to stack up Pittsburgh.
I too am on pitch hit alert for Dodgers as well whenever they start against a lefty. Falter is kind of a neutral reverse splitsy, just for the record. You could always play Ohtani and Freeman. Doesn't matter. They're fine left on left. Did you see that homer yesterday off Skeens, Keith? I imagine you caught that, the Ohtani Skeens matchup. And tell us your thoughts as far as the Dodgers.
That Skeens versus the Dodgers matchup was so much fun. And Ohtani turning around 101 is like that's the stuff that baseball is made of right there. I agree with both of these. Dodgers up in House of the Dragon. Lineup a little bit watered down, but that just makes them a little bit more affordable. You get Pahis up to the 5th hole. I really like that. Teoscar a bump to the cleanup spot. So I really like both of those hitters against lefties. Miguel Vargas in there, not Rojas. I prefer Vargas with a little bit more power, a little bit cheaper. So Dodgers definitely in the top tier, and Pittsburgh way down in the bottom. Just not worried or not really interested in picking on Walker Buehler.
Officially have all the lineups now. Padres are in. Machado is out. It's a rise. Tatis, Profar, Cronenworth, Peralta, who's super, super cheap. Merrill, Kim, Wade, and Higashioka. All right, Keith, next game is yours. Pulling it up now. It is the Braves. The Braves and the Nats, 8.5 total. Parker versus Ronaldo Lopez. Braves heavy favorites here, -160 on the road in Washington. Keith, where are you putting Atlanta and the Nats?
I'm going to go the Acolyte for Atlanta. They're struggling a little bit, and I'm really buying into what Mitchell Parker is doing. He seems like he's going to be a little bit above average as a starting pitcher. At least he has been so far this season, and I can't find anything to dispute it in the underlying metrics. So tougher matchup for Atlanta, mid-range stack for me today, and Washington right there in the boys where Steve has him. I agree with that. I don't know what to believe from Ronaldo Lopez. I know that he's been really good this season. Washington is a below average offense. Probably. I don't have a ton of interest in trying to make this be the start that Lopez comes back to earth.
TJ?
Yeah, I'm totally good with that as well. I would maybe bump Washington up. I think I'll be getting to them a little bit today against Lopez, just because Lopez's thing that's kind of getting him by has been strikeouts for the most part, and this is a team that really doesn't strike out much at all. And so I do want to get to some Washington today, but I'm fine with them in the boys.
All right. One of the trickiest games in the slate for me is Minnesota at the Yankees. Really, really good offense for New York. Lopez, historically a good pitcher, not so much this year, but also kind of unlucky. It's on a slate where a bunch of pitchers have been lucky. Lopez has been the one that's been pretty unlucky. TJ, this is your board. Twins, Yankees, no Royce Lewis, no Buxton for Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota, I would probably bump down to the boys. Like I said, good low ground ball rates for that team, so they do profile decent against Stroman. But still, I don't really like to stack against Marcus Stroman very often. Maybe find a couple one-offs. Yankees, I would bump up to the Bear. Pablo Lopez has been struggling. It does seem like he's going to get some positive regression, but it's the Yankees. I honestly don't think we can ever have them lower than the second tier this season. I'd be fine with the Yankees in the House of the Dragon tier as well.
Keith, go for it.
I will leave the Yankees in the Bear. I agree. Like I don't love the matchup here. I think Pablo Lopez is better than he has pitched this season, but the Yankees are the best offense in baseball as of right now. Minnesota, I'm going to bump up to the acolyte. I just don't buy Stroman as the same above average pitcher that he's been. And the main thing is his walks have been way up. He used to be an elite walk rate guy, or at least like 6-7% rather than over 10 like he's been so far this season. So I think he's a little easier to pick on than he has been in the past. He's another one of those guys that like Sierra and xERA are both significantly higher than his ERA this season. Stroman's BABIP is down at like 254 or something like that this season, and he's like a career 300 guy. So I think Stroman is more hittable this season than he has been in the past.
I don't want to sound the pinch hit alarms, but two lefties in that Yankees bullpen, Ferguson, Gonzalez, not closers or whatever. They're kind of middle relievers. Both are really well rested as well. So, and Minnesota will do their pinch hit thing. I'm afraid for guys like, Kyle Farmer, if you're rostering those kind of guys, Miranda, possibly, Vasquez, possibly, they have their three best hitters on the bench, arguably.
Miranda, Farmer, and Vasquez are all right-handed, and Stroman is right-handed. So if a lefty came in, they'd be in better spots. They wouldn't get pinch hit for.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking I should have went with Larnach and Kirilov is who I was kind of thinking of. But Vasquez would get pinch hit for Jeffers just because Jeffers is a better hitter, and they might need him in a spot where they did a hit. But that's a good point. You're right. I don't know why I flipped those in my head. By the way, we should drop the next clue for Fleet Thursday. We're just kind of playing out the string here because somebody they didn't bank it, but they got it on 2, which is definitely an eagle. Certainly better than par. Clue number 4 is unlucky number ? Unlucky number ? All right. And we're gonna keep let's see.
Minnesota. I'll bump in quick because we do have enough likes for Spidey Bomb 2. We got it a while ago. We are up to 86, so only 14 likes away from the third Spidey Bomb. And if you guys give them well over 100, I got more Spidey Bombs for the people coming as well. We talked about liking these Arizona lefties, and so Spidey Bomb number 2 is Jacques Peterson plus 390 on FanDuel today. Also address a few things in chat. Somebody says, give me the Mandalorian over the Acolyte all day, every day. Well, guess what? The Mandalorian isn't coming out with a new season this summer, so I couldn't possibly rank it above it. And there's been 2 episodes of the show out for only a couple days, and so I know for a fact that people haven't seen anything other than the premiere of this. So it seems foolish that people are judging so hastily, but reviews are incredible, and I couldn't agree more with them. This is a pretty special show. Anyways, going back to the Fleet Thursday, since a bunch of people in the YouTube chat as well have guessed that, I'll give you my thought process now. A few more are coming in there right now. I knew you weren't going to pick the most obvious person, and so I thought it's going to be second tier of obvious. A great player, an all-timer, but probably not the number 1 tier. And I thought Dean is from Florida. Who is a football player from Florida? I bet Dean is a big fan of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. I'm going to guess Dan Marino. And so as soon as I saw football, that's what happened. That's what the inner monologue went in my brain, and I knew Dan Marino as soon as I saw football.
Let me ask you a question. The Ace Ventura was the last clue. Bobby's saying it was so easy. Bobby didn't know it off of just football and retired. Stop it, Bobby. Last clue is Ace Ventura. I was going to make it Snowflake, which was, if you remember the movie, Snowflake was the name of the dolphin. The mascot was named Snowflake, but I thought that was too hard, possibly. And I said unlucky number because in some cultures, 13 is lucky, and other cultures, it's not lucky. So that's why there's a question mark hanging out there. Okay, let's knock out the rest of the games. Cubbies and the Reds. Keith, Assad, Hunter Green. It's at pitchers. No, it's a hitters umpire, extreme hitters umpire tonight. 9.5 total. Almost a 5 total for the Reds. Of course, a good hitting environment. The Cubs traveling after last night's walk-off versus the crosstown rivals, at least rivals according to the White Sox. Where do you have the Cubs and the Reds?
I'm going to go. I've considered bumping the Reds all the way up to the top with the hitters umpire because I think that does affect Assad a little bit. I'm going to stick with the Bear just because Assad has been so good this season. I think it's a little bit fraudulent as well. He's probably closer to a league average pitcher than the above one that he has been. It's a great home run for parks. That's a great park for home runs. That's the main reason the Reds are all the way up there. I also think the Cubs bullpen is very gettable at this point in the season. Hunter Green hasn't allowed nearly as many home runs up to this point. The strikeouts are down. I'm going to leave the Cubs in the acolyte there. I think they have upside on this slate. It's a back-to-back start for Green against the Cubs. So I think this could go either way. I'm kind of torn on my Hunter Green versus Cubs stack exposure. I think I'm just going to load up on both of them. So Cubs in the middle for me.
It's funny you say that. That was one of the things I talked about in the survey today. I think you're supposed to be over the field on Green and over the field on Cubs and just got to root for extremes. And like if it's 4-4 games, so be it. Unless you have 4 solo homers, probably not going to get there. TJ, confirm, deny, be good with those placements as far as Cincinnati and the Cubs?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I would probably have the Reds and the acolyte as well, but I'm fine with them in the Bear. The hitters umpire would probably bump that up for me, and then Cubs in the acolyte. I think they could get shut down by Green, or I think they could put up 10 runs today.
There are 3 games left. Fire up some questions in chat too, because we got 12 minutes until crunch time comes in. I did see somebody at the top of the show asking a strategy question. We didn't get to it, but if you are still lurking, any strategy questions, by all means, we're happy to answer those as well, because we are going to have some time in the crossover to crunch time. Crunch time coming in about 12 minutes or so. You got Kevin Roth talking a little bit of weather. If there's any weather lurking out there. Last I saw, not a ton to be alarmed with, but if anything is popping up, he'll be all over it. And, of course, you get Chief and Taylor Smith as well. TJ, this is your board. We're talking about the Rockies at the Cardinals. Super, super chalky, sunny gray. Minus 230 favorites. 7.5 is the total collectively. But that's because the Rockies have a team total less than 3 because they are horrendous. Some would say gutless. Where do we have Colorado and the Cardinals? Formerly gutless? Have they graduated from gutless? Some would say that too. TJ, what do you got?
I would love to say Rings of Power because they suck, but just for the whole reason that Gray is going to be more than 50% owned and I'm playing 150 lineups, I will have a few Rockies full stacks, and so maybe that means the boys, but they're almost for surely going to be failing, and so they probably should be Rings of Power. I'm going to bump them up just a touch because of the leverage, Cheese's favorite word, but I do actually think that would be the case today. You would get with them. And then I would probably bump St. Louis up to the Bear. I think they're tier 2 of stacks today. They got a high team total. Quantrill's been good, but I think he's probably going to give up a couple bombs. That's why Nolan Gorman's a Spidey bomb. And so I would probably bump them up there. But if Keith wants them in the acolyte, I definitely wouldn't argue. And then we also got Spidey bomb number 3 here because we're at 100 likes. I'll get another one if we get up to 125, and even a 5th if we get up to 150. We got Marie Donese asking if anyone's dabbling in NBA Showdown. I will be tonight, and then we'll also have a crunch time show for it with Squirrel and Head Chopper before that game. Spidey bomb number 3 today, since we're at 100 likes, plus 400 on FanDuel. It is Teoscar Hernandez.
Keith, how do we feel about the placement of the Rockies and the boys and St. Louis and the Bears? St. Louis is cheap too, which is another thing. I think they can be useful on the slate. What do you got for me?
Yeah, Colorado, I'm going to bump them down to Rings of Power. There's enough offense I'm interested in where I don't think I'm going to take the leverage route against Sonny Gray. I also think that if Gray fails as chalk, it'll be because he doesn't quite get the strikeouts, more so than Colorado scores 4 runs off of him. So I'm not taking the leverage route with Colorado today. I certainly understand that he is going to be massively owned. So don't have anything against that as a strategy at all. St. Louis, I'm torn on because I don't know which Cal Quantrill we're getting. They are cheap. I think Dean's comment there that they're cheap pushed me over the top. Leave him in the Bear. I will play some Quantrill, just chasing the form that he was in before this recent start against the Dodgers. St. Louis has also been the second best offense in baseball over the last 30 days, just behind the Yankees. So they are fully off the gutless rankings for me, and they're still way too cheap. They're performing like the bottom 10 offense that they were for the first month of the season. So I like the Cardinals today.
We got some gutless graduates. We go from one big favorite, Sunny Gray, to another one in Tanner Houck, minus 240, 8.5 total, a team total above 5. You're locked in for 9 innings, no matter what, versus Woodford and whatever's lurking in that bullpen. I did want to, this all kind of ties together. Somebody was referencing the weather, the wind specifically in Chicago. Note that like Wrigley is the field that matters most as far as wind, but it is also interesting. I don't know what you got in this, Keith. If you checked out Weather Edge, it's 18-mile-per-hour winds to dead center, 73 degrees. We don't have a huge sample. We got a 22-game sample where we've seen homers spike at 37%, runs spike at 13%. So, in the small sample, the ball is, it's played well. Hitting is done well in this particular environment, specifics as far as the weather. How much does that factor in for you? And that was kind of a question on Houck, but I think it also kind of rises however you feel about Boston, maybe bump them up incrementally, but also, I don't know, is it that real? I don't know how to gauge that on such a small sample. What's your thoughts?
Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that the White Sox park is the second most wind sensitive park in baseball.
Okay.
I'm not 100% positive. I haven't checked on that data, and it's been a couple of years, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I know Cardi would probably have the answer to that, but I'm pretty sure it's the second most wind sensitive. So wind blowing out at the White Sox park does matter. As far as how it affects Tanner Houck for me, not all of that much. It's still just an awful White Sox offense. Houck is an extreme ground ball guy. I think there is potential for his strikeout rate to rise as well. So I'm still on board Tanner Houck. I was playing him slightly less than the field to begin with. I'm going to stick right in that range. As far as the stacks go, Boston is one of the top of the entire day. Jake Woodford could not strike Dean out, I don't think.
I'll ground out.
What's that?
I'll ground out. I can ground out.
Yeah, I think you could ground out against Jake Woodford. I honestly do. Boston is really cheap. There's going to be tons of balls in contact. Devers is priced up, but he should be. Tyler O'Neill is priced up. He should be. A lot of the guys further down the order are very cheap. So very easy to get to Boston. High upside spot for them. The wind blowing out only adds to that. White Sox for me are going to be down in rings of power. You could make the same argument game theory wise that you could find some leverage with the White Sox. I just don't think that they're good enough to beat Tanner Houck. So rings of power for me.
My quick Google search, I found an article from 2011. So 2011, it power ranks the top 5 ballparks as far as weather, and Chicago, the White Sox, not on the board. Wrigley number 1, but again, grain of salt, that one as well. So it's an old article, and this
wind and weather are two different things though, because temperature is a major factor, and it's not warm in Chicago. So overall weather, I buy that. But I'm pretty sure wind sensitivity. I'll see if I can find something here. But it's been a while, and things change year to year in baseball too.
Yeah, I'm curious. That's something that's definitely worth looking into. But I think you are. I think they're on the Family Feud board, if nothing else. Maybe they're not number 2, but I think they're on the board. TJ, what do you got with Boston? Are we good with them all the way up top, hanging out with the Dodgers? And as far as the White Sox, out of the slums, they're into. Steve is moving them around. Did Steve? Where were they officially?
They're all the way at the bottom of Rings of Power, and we got the White Sox. They're the Sox that we have no interest in. They got holes all over them, holes in the heels, holes in the toes. The Red Sox, we're going out. We're wearing our fancy Red Sox tonight. They're in Tier 1, up in House of the Dragon.
Okay, TJ, last game, Arizona at the Padres, 8.5 is the total. Ciccone versus Vasquez, not the best San Diego lineup. No Machado. No Bogarts, obviously. A couple times I think we talked about the Diamondbacks. You talked about Jock Peterson. This is actually like my favorite sneaky game. I like the lefties on both sides. I like the T's on both, for San Diego. I don't really love the entire depth of that lineup, but there is some cheapies there. I think Peralta is an interesting salary saver. He's 2-1 on TK, which could certainly be useful, and I think he's betting like 4th or 5th. That also kind of speaks to how bad that lineup is. It's a revenge game for David Peralta. He's very, very angry at the Diamondbacks. That's my understanding. TJ, Arizona, San Diego, where are we throwing them?
Yeah, I agree with you. It is going to be one of the sneakier ones on the slate, I think, with it being an hour and a half later than any of the other ones. And even though the pitching isn't great, neither of the teams on paper look all that strong. But I do like both of them today as well. I would probably have both of them in the Acolyte, but I wouldn't have any issues with either one, but probably Arizona being bumped up if necessary.
Keith, what do you got? See Keith nodding his head. I personally would bump. Well, I'm not trying to move. Go ahead. I yield. It's your go.
So if we were just strictly talking lefties from either side, I think you could make a case they should be up in House of the Dragon. But because the full stack is slightly below that, I'm struggling a little bit on what I think as a mini stack. Arizona lefties are like my favorite 3-man on the entire slate. I don't know what to do with Corbin Carroll, so I probably just leave him out. I love the Spidey Bomb. Jock Peterson, Kettle Marte is fantastic, and Pavin Smith has been pretty solid here since he's been called up. So I love those 3 lefties for Arizona. The full stack, I think it's the Bear. We'll bump it up 1 because I have that much interest in the lefties, but the full stack doesn't quite make the top tier for me. San Diego's lefties aren't quite as strong as Arizona's, so I'm good with them still in the Acolyte.
Yeah, I also like Christian Walker. You're going to give me his power on a slate that like only has 7 games, and he's going to be like 3% owned against. I know it's against a subpar pitcher. The environment's not spectacular, but like as part of the stack, I'm definitely including Walker as well. Earlier today I saw he was like 3 or 4% projected owned, and what we're afraid of Randy Vasquez. I know like Randy Vasquez is much more vulnerable against lefties we've seen so far, but I'm just going to play some Christian Walker, and it's really not hard to get over the field on that. Did you have any homer calls? You kind of touched on it throughout the show. I know we gave out some Spidey Bombs. Crunch Time coming in here in just a few minutes as well, but Keith, I didn't want to leave you out. Any of the Fleisters? What do we have for the people as far as who's going yard? You probably gave a couple last night on the Morning Grind podcast. Are you just going to rehash those? Or you want to give some new ones?
Funny enough, the one I gave on the Morning Grind last night was Jock Peterson, who TJ has already named a
TJ
Spidey
stole
Bomb, but he might have. I'm not accusing anybody, but it doesn't take much to look at Randy Vasquez's barrel rate and ISO get allowed to lefties and know that this is an awesome spot for Jock Peterson. So 100% on board with that call. I will also go Tyler O'Neill. Just love this spot for him. He gets a low strikeout pitcher. His biggest issue is strikeouts. Tyler O'Neill taking Jake Woodford yard.
Anthony's asking your favorite team to score 5 or more runs today, TJ. That's a Morning Grind question. I think it's 6 in the Morning Grind, if I'm not mistaken. And if you want to, feel free if you want to be ambitious, think it's 6. TJ, who's your favorite team to score 5 or more runs?
I would go the Yankees.
How are you handling that? The Yankees? Are you going to be over the field on it with the Lopez Yankee situation? It's just kind of tricky.
Oh yeah.
Are you going to be over the field in the Yankees just because that's what you're supposed to do every single day, and that's that?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of Lopez either. I think Soto's going to hit a home run today. I think Judge is going to hit a home run today. Stanton might get one too.
Producer Devin is telling us that St. Louis, Boston, and San Diego all scoring more than 5 runs. Maybe he's bet that. I don't know. I have no idea. But he put the lock avatar next to him. We can't say it's officially a lock, but I guess he's feeling pretty good about it.
Devin's trying to get us in trouble.
Yeah, he comes back on vacation all fired up, I suppose. But yeah, let's go ahead and bring in Crunch Time. Crunch Time, we got Kevin Roth, we have Taylor Smith, and we have Will, who may or may not be on mute. We shall see. Let's talk to Crunch Time. What is up, Crunch Time? Will, how are you doing? Everything well in your world? Everything good? And now he's just playing with me.
He's messing with you.
Yeah, everything's good, man. Everything's good. Glad to come on and hang out with you beautiful people.
I might have hit the mute a couple times earlier in the show, and I was like, well, maybe Will can. I won't look as bad by comparison because the people are talking, and like you're like the chalk, you're the sharp money as far as who's most likely to hit the talk well on mute, but. You did not. You just playfully fell for
Listen,
it.
hitting the mute also means I'm the most professional.
Huh? Okay. No, there's just a silence there. Yes. That's definitely what it means. What's up, Roth? We got basketball tonight, by the way. I'm sure you're pumped about that. The season's not officially over. And I should mention, I know you're excited for your Mavs.
I want everybody's take. I want everybody's finals take. But first, wait, is House of the Dragon good? It was the top. Is that show good?
It's good. It's good. Yeah. Did you like Game of Thrones?
Of course. But this
is
like
you don't like it.
Game of Thrones fell off because George R. R. Martin wasn't writing anymore, and now there's a sequel that is not George R. R. Martin.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Oh yeah, this is based on another one of his books entirely. It's critically like same tier as Game of Thrones.
Okay, I didn't realize it was good. I just assumed it sucked. I just thought it was like a knockoff sequel. That's good to know.
Are you guys like me, where you find the second R condescending? Like George R. Martin's not enough. He's got to drop R. Martin. Like,
no, it's
really?
cool. It's cool. I like it.
Like he's
I
a
have
good
two
writer,
middle names, so I do go by the two middle initial thing.
Wow.
Really?
What is
You're
it?
like Taylor
Fun fact.
F. Smith?
CF. Chicken Fried Smith.
I hope that I really want that to be true. And isn't that all one word, chicken fried? At least according to
No,
companies,
two. That's
like,
why it's
all
two
one
letters.
word.
It's two different words. Yeah. Mhm.
All right. I gotta see. Look, do you have you gotta see his driver's license? I don't know if I cannot confirm it. Yeah. Is that tied into the Bojangles thing too? Yeah, that's gotta be all
It
tied
does
in,
now. Right? It absolutely
There you
does
go.
now.
What is your official prediction, Roth? I know you want to get it out there. Your completely unbiased opinion. What's going to happen with the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks?
Boston is fraudulent. It's Mavs in 5. The two springy bigs with Luka in a pick and roll is just unstoppable. They're getting everybody in foul trouble. And then defensively, their big men are actually good rim protectors. The guards are starting to play D. They're just unbeatable. They are the best team when engaged I've ever seen. Mavs in 5. Lock it in.
Roth came prepared.
Team
Are you going to be
you've
joining?
ever
Are you going to be joining the show with Squirrel Patrol and Head Chopper? They're talking basketball in like an hour or so. I don't know if you're available.
Somebody said Mavs losing tonight. No, they're going to win tonight. Like they're going to win tonight. They are going to win tonight.
Listen,
Money down.
Let me chime in on this. Let me chime in on this. I don't have a dog in the fight because I don't care who wins. I'm just watching for the game. But I will say, I think Boston gets a lot of disrespect because of like the season they've had. Like they ran away with the season. Like they didn't just play Eastern Conference teams; they played Western Conference teams along the way, and they still finished like way better than everybody. And then they just kind of cruised in the playoffs, and everybody's like, "Oh, they haven't faced anybody. They might actually just be really good, but because they're not, Boston really isn't a splashy team. They're just solid. They run away with games, and you're like, dang, like I don't know, man. I think this could be a sneaky runaway spot for Boston, like in this series.
Let's hear the call. Give me the call. Who's winning and how many games? Let's hear it.
I'm going to go Boston in 5. I'm going Boston in 5. Here's why. Because everybody thinks Boston is not as good as they are, yet their record in the playoffs and their record in the season suggests they're really good. And Tatum and Brown are just getting like zero respect. Like I'm saying from a fan perspective, outside of like Boston, everybody's like, oh, they haven't seen anybody. Okay, well, we're about to find out.
I agree with Chief. I agree with Chief. I got Celtics in 6. I do think today will be very telling though, because like if there's any team in basketball that can match up with the Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving backcourt, it's Drew Holiday and Derek White defensively. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out.
Do we know how healthy Porzingis is? I don't want to submit my answer until I see like a bill of health.
It like kind of doesn't matter.
I think it matters. You don't think it matters how healthy Porzingis is?
I don't think it matters. Porzingis missed games this year. Like Porzingis didn't play 82 games.
Yeah, but they're better with Porzingis.
He played half the playoff.
Yeah. Keith, you have a thought on this? Anybody else?
So I think that Boston is a little bit fraudulent. Tatum just does not have the killer instinct, is my argument, and Luka does.
How do you quantify killer instinct?
No. So, okay, let me debunk that theory right now. Let me debunk that theory. I know everybody's going to go to this clutch time and all this stuff. Jason Tatum is literally scoring like 30 points a game, but we're just overlooking that because it's not like the last 5 minutes. Like I can't.
I also feel like we gotta that argument held a lot more weight before this playoffs because he's been consistently dominating every fourth quarter, and then they'll be in a close game. He comes out, dominates, and then they win by 15 in the fourth.
Up by 15, though. I don't think that you've seen him in like through crunch time. Is my point? They haven't played that many close games.
And the games that they did, the Pacers just shit their pants and let them win. I just don't think they can win close games.
If you're always blowing teams out, can that be a knock against you that you're so good that there can't be close games because
they barely beat the Pacers? They somehow barely beat
without
the Pacers
Porzingis
in those games.
That's why Porzingis matters.
Porzingis, you're acting like Porzingis is some like Greek guy. Porzingis
he's a unicorn. That's close enough. Yeah.
All he does is miss threes and refuse to rebound. Like,
oh, how dare you?
He's going to get
he's vengeful against his Maverick team.
I think you can argue Dallas is kind of fraudulent too, though.
There it is. That's the counter argument.
Dallas played the Clippers.
Who's more fraudulent?
The Clippers with injured Kawhi, and then they played Oklahoma City, who's youngest team in the NBA, and then they played Minnesota, who was gassed after the Denver series. They had nothing left. I'm not convinced that Dallas is.
Get out.
Luka Doncic is very much not fraudulent. Luka Doncic is probably the second best player in the world right now, but I don't think the rest of that team is anywhere close to the rest of Boston's teams. So yeah, Dallas' star is better, but Boston's 2 through 9, 10 is a heck of a lot.
Literally all the Mavs need is a Luka pick and roll with one of their bigs. That's it. Just spam that over and over, and it is a great.
He hasn't had Drew Holiday guarding him yet.
I don't give a shit who's.
That's a heck of a lot. That's a heck of a lot easier. That's a heck of a lot easier to do
years old.
Rob,
against
against
Mike Conley.
Rob, you're making my point about this, boss. This is what I'm talking about. The average fan just says, "Oh, Boston they had an easy road." Okay, well, we're gonna find out. Like,
we are gonna find out. We are gonna find out. Damn it,
we're about to find out.
Yeah, Mavs are about
Boston
to
in 6. Taylor convinced me. I got Boston in 6. We'll probably be betting that tonight.
All right, so Mavs, Ice and I on the Mavs. Everybody else, the losers.
Slide to the DMs, Roth. DMs are open.
Every time I slide into your DMs, I lose money.
My boy Chris Kirkwood said his net worth is on the shelf. Kirkwood, get ready to pay for your kids' college this year, sir. This year. We're closing the deal.
We got to give the people some baseball. 30 minutes still until lock. Small slate. Plenty of time to knock it out. We're going to step aside and make way for crunch time. Myself and TJ, as well as Keith. We appreciate y'all watching the first portion. Do continue to hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Do all those things. And don't go anywhere because crunch time is now. And more basketball talk is later. You got Squirrel and Chopper talking some showdown slate. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff as always. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It is crunch time. Here to talk some baseball, not hoops. Although Luka in the pick and is freaking old man Horford gonna stop the pick and roll? Is Porzingis's goony ass gonna try and stop that? It's just gonna be a bloodbath. Luka and the bigs pick and roll all series long. It's gonna be a bloodbath. I can't wait. Hey, I just had to get the last word in. We're here though to talk some baseball. We got my guy Chief in the house. What up, Chief?
Not much, man. Listen, this is how you lead into a crunch time, though. This to me, this is probably the most authentic conversation we can have as sports fans, right? This is real sports. We can just take this whole part of crunch time and turn it into a pre-crunch time. Give us our 15 minutes to talk about actual sports and not, which button to click for pitcher tonight. This is awesome.
I agree.
This is fantastic.
We can talk hoops all day. Ruthless Villain says so many alley-oops incoming. It's just going to be nonstop. It's just going to be alley-oop over out. It's just going to be fantastic. I got my guy Taylor in the house, looking sharp. Taylor, what's up, man?
Not much. I feel like the Celtics defense is being dragged here big time by you. They were the best. Weren't they the best defensive team in the league the last 2 years combined? I don't know. I feel like they're being slept on a little bit here somehow.
I mean, I think the T-Wolves were famously great defensively, and McDaniels was supposed to lock down Luka and got bodied, just like all these. Holiday is great defensively. Freaking Brown and Tatum, they're fine. They're good defensively. Derek White's my dude, but it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter when it's Luka in the pick and roll.
Roth is pulling out. The Roth is going to become the Rock tonight.
That's you may get the eyebrow arch if you smell what the Roth is cooking after tonight. I honestly think the Mavs just whoop that ass tonight. I think they win by like 15 plus tonight. I think it's an absolute ass whooping. But we need to. We're not going to have a nice piece of humble pie. It's literally, I think it's going to be a blowout tonight in the Mavs' favor. Let's talk about what we've got going on. There are 3 games with a chance for an early delay or a late start. Those games would be Pittsburgh, Washington, and New York. The chance is low enough in all of those games, or unless something drastically changes over the next 20 minutes, play pitchers, play hitters, do whatever you want. I'll let you know if that changes. Does that work for you guys?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Michael says, wait until Roth realizes the Mavs have to play defense too. That they're fixed now. They have rim protectors now. They have 2 dudes. They will just make you settle for like kind of shitty mid-range jumpers. And you can't beat the Mavs getting kind of shitty mid-range jumpers. You're not going to beat them. You're not going to beat them. Mavs in 5, locking in. Taylor, what are we doing pitcher-wise?
Yeah, so it's a decent pitcher slate. I think we're going to have some pretty heavy chalk with Sonny Gray and Tanner Houck, especially on DK where they're both under 10K. They're the most expensive pitchers, but they're in the best spots. They're probably the best pitchers. In cash, you're, I think, playing them both together. FanDuel, Gray's a little cheaper than Houck. He's facing the Rockies at home. So Gray's the guy on FanDuel you're playing. Otherwise, it's kind of wide open. I think Pablo Lopez is kind of interesting. The Yankees lineup is great, but they replaced Verdugo with Trent Grisham, which is a very high strikeout hitter that's in there tonight. Lopez has been kind of mediocre by his standards. He's had some home run issues. Not a safe spot by any means, but in tournaments, I kind of like him as a sub 9K flyer that shouldn't be too popular, I wouldn't think. Walker Buehler and Hunter Green projecting for some ownership too. Under 9K on DK. I think they're fine. I'm not really into Buehler, even against the Pirates on the road. Decent spot, but he's been kind of wobbly since he came back from injury. Strikeout stuff, not elite to begin with. So I'm not super into that. I think Green against the Cubs is kind of a boom-bust thing. Either way, like the Cubs look great. A lot of power in that lineup. Green historically has had home run issues, not so much this season, but strikeouts have also come down for him. He is cheap and has a very long leash, so he's a fine play too. And I think if you're going cheap, it's probably Cal Quantrill at 6K on DK against the Cardinals. Not a safe play by any means, but he's 6K. I guess you can make a similar case for Randy Vasquez against Arizona. He's only 5'6" on DK, so those would be the punts on my radar. I don't think you're looking at Jake Woodford or anyone like that, but you can keep a pretty tight pool at pitcher tonight, I think. There's been some talk about Mitch Parker, who's been very good, but personally, I will not be going there tonight. I think that kind of sums it up for pitching.
Okay. Just looking at a little storm that's gone up really close to Washington. It looks like it'll miss. But do we have pitchers that we want in Washington, Taylor? I don't know. You named a bunch of dudes.
Parker and Ronaldo Lopez, so not headliners necessarily, but
just making sure. Wouldn't be shocked if we get a late start announcement in Washington. If they do, don't freak out. It's going to be fine. Stick with it. But that's a pretty. It's close enough to. I've at least got my eye on it. But if you were going to play those guys, you can stick with it. It's not like these are imminently going over the park. They're just near enough to give me a little pause for concern. Chief, what are you doing here pitcher-wise? Who do you like? What's your game plan?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Tanner Houck and Sonny Gray are, let's call them the creme de la creme of this particular slate. If gun to my head, I would play them and them only. But, you know, with this particular slate, I mean, there are a couple other guys. Like you've got Ronaldo Lopez. I'm not thrilled about Lopez tonight. Because he's going to need to be efficient, I think, to get where we need him to go, meaning we're going to need him to get through 6 and probably 80-something pitches. I think he'll have some strikeouts. I don't think he'll get blown up, but I don't think he has near the upside of Houck or Gray today. I think Walker Buehler is okay at 8,700. So I will have a couple shares of him. Hunter Green, I think, is like the true upside play here. Like, and I think Taylor mentioned something that's very important. The strikeouts have come down a bit this season. But if he could get anywhere, like maybe he just has one of those 7, 8, 9 strikeout games randomly. So I do think he's like a tournament upside play. Originally I was considering playing Lopez and Stroman. I'm just going to fade them today. I don't think Stroman probably has enough upside here. And Lopez, I just think is okay now. I do think he'll pick up some strikeouts, but I also think he'll give up some runs. And if he ends up giving up 3 to 4 runs in this game, then I don't think he's anywhere near optimal for winning a tournament. So all in all, I'm playing Tanner Houck, I'm playing Sonny Gray, I'm playing Walker Buehler, I'm playing Hunter Green. I have a sprinkle of Javier Assad and a sprinkle of Mitchell Parker, and that's who I'm playing today.
Okay, great. Well, let's flip it and talk about some of the bats. We do have lock in like 22 minutes. So let's discuss our favorite stacks, Chief.
Yeah, so one of my favorites tonight, definitely this Cubs-Reds game. I really like this game in general, so I want to highlight that one first. This is one of my favorite games to get. Let's call it a game stack, if you will, Raw. Bats from both sides only. Really like that game. Love the Padres, love the Diamondbacks tonight, like both sides of that game. I'm actually okay with Boston facing Jake Woodford. I like those guys as well. And I have been targeting Cal Quantrill. I'm not going to stop tonight. I know St. Louis isn't exciting, but it's Cal Quantrill, man. And I know he's pitched better, but long-term, I'm not a believer in Cal Quantrill. So just to kind of rank those bats, yet again, my favorite game is the Cubs-Reds game combined. I like bats from both sides of that game. I like the Cardinals. I like the Red Sox. And then I like the Diamondbacks and the Padres, but I don't want to stack that game. I just want one side or the other. And I know I left off the Dodgers and the Yankees, but I feel like they're going to get way more ownership than some of those other teams we talked about.
Gotcha. Okay, Taylor, your favorite stacks?
Yeah, I'm not really getting to the Dodgers either, which is kind of scary because they have a high total and they're facing Bailey Falter. But the lineup's a little watered down. They're missing Will Smith. So there's pinch hit risk with some of those righties at the bottom. So I'm not really getting to them. I could see why you would. Perfectly fine stack. I'm focused a lot on that Cincinnati-Chicago game. Best hitter spark on the slate. A couple of mediocre pitchers. Well, Green's not mediocre, but he has had home run issues before. Not totally convinced that he solved them in one off season, so I don't mind the Cubs for power. That's the stack I'm getting to the second most. Cincinnati's third against Assad. The stack I'm getting to the most is Atlanta, which seems to happen every single day. They underwhelm most days as well, but Mitchell Parker is a lefty without a long track record of success. He's been good, but in theory, the Braves are also good. They have a high total once again. They're not really going to be super popular, and the park is perfectly fine for power in Washington. So once again, going back to the Braves, Boston against Woodford is another one worth noting. The wind in Chicago blowing out, not Wrigley, but still good hitting weather for the Red
blowing
Sox.
Out at a pretty good clip, like 15 to 20 miles per hour as well.
Yeah, and Woodford might be the worst pitcher on the slate. So Boston looks good. Definitely a good source of value. Should be owned, but I don't think it'll be overwhelming at all. And Minnesota against Stroman isn't my favorite thing, but I could see firing some darts with them. Looking for power against Stroman.
Okay, very good. Gentlemen, let's go around the horn. We'll do it position by position. We start with catcher, and Taylor, you can lead us off.
Yeah, so Sean Murphy is the one I'm getting to the most. I mentioned Atlanta against Parker. He's hitting 6th. He hasn't been great in a limited sample this season, but pretty cheap relative to where he's been, certainly where he was last year. Miguel Amaya buried in the 9-hole for the Cubs, but he's cheap, 2,200 on DK. I don't mind that. I didn't mention Washington as a stack, but I do think targeting Reynaldo Lopez is okay. He's due for regression. Keibert Ruiz hitting 5th, pretty cheap also. Don't mind that from the left side. Connor Wong should be somewhat popular. Austin Barnes as a punt for the Dodgers. He's hitting 9th too, but he's okay if you're stacking them for value. And that's probably it. Not a whole lot else standing out.
Chief, any other names you want to add?
Negative. Love all those names.
Great. First base.
Yeah, so first base gets real interesting for me because I really like Christian Walker here against Vasquez. Once again, I do like that game. I'm perfectly fine with Luis Arias tonight, folks, which isn't something you typically want to hear because he doesn't really have a whole lot of home run upside. But I think his ability to get on base tonight for the gutless Padres, God help us, is a really good option. So I like him a ton. We're able to get Paul Goldschmidt at 4K. He's not been great, but against Cal Quantrill, I'm okay with it. You've got Matt Carpenter as part of that St. Louis stack on the cheap end as well. And then obviously, I talked about Boston. Dominic Smith on the cheap end for 2,800 with, typically hits for pretty good power. I like him against Woodford.
Okay. Taylor, any other names at first?
Ohtani is good. You should play him probably. Even lefty-lefty. I like Matt Olson, lefty-lefty also. He's hit for power against lefties his whole career, so I don't mind that against Parker. And then Joey Gallo, I think, is okay for a potential cheap home run.
Okay, take me to second base.
Second base, I think Manuel Valdez might be the chalk here. He's cheap, hitting second for Boston against Woodford. Yeah, he's appealing on this slate. Nolan Gorman been on kind of a heater of late, still affordable power guy for the Cardinals against Quantrill. Don't mind that with the platoon advantage. Ozzie Albies, if you're paying up for him in your Brave stack leading off. He's better from the right side historically too, so I like that quite a bit. I mentioned the Cubs, so Nico Horner, he's hitting 6th, but okay value there in the stack. And Ketel Marte hitting 2nd for Arizona against Vasquez. Vasquez has had issues with lefties. Marte will hit from the left side against him.
Okay. Chief, any other names?
Yeah, I'd probably throw in Jake Cronenworth in there for 4,300. He should hit pretty well today. And then, we do get Miguel Rojas at 2nd or 3rd for the Dodgers. And while I'm not loading up on Dodgers, at 3,500, I'm okay with it. Because second base isn't crazy strong today, but most of these guys are going to be in my stats.
Yeah. Okay. Take me to third.
Oh, Rafael Devers, man, 5,900, most expensive third baseman on the slate. Also one of the best plays on the slate, in my opinion. Really like him against Woodford. You're getting Morel in the 4-hole today, batting cleanup against Hunter Green. I have respect for Hunter Green, but I just like this game in general. The environment looks like runs are going to be scored. Shame on me, Roth, for not having the weather edge ready for that particular game. I should have had something to spill in about that one, but I do really like that game. Nolan Arenado against Quantrill, 3,800. Donovan in the 6-hole, 3,700. And then at the bottom of the order here, if you're a believer in the Dodgers stack, Kiki Hernandez in the 7-hole against Bailey Falter, 2,900, could be sneaky good.
Okay, great. Taylor, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, a couple of Braves you can play here. Austin Riley, kind of the poster boy for tilting the Braves all season, but once again, looks good. Platoon advantage against Parker. Christopher Morel is a decent value hitting cleanup for the Cubs. He could strike out 4 times or hit 3 home runs. I am willing to embrace the risk with that. I mentioned the other Brave, Brian Anderson, third base, outfield eligible. He's hitting 9th, but he's cheap, historically an okay enough hitter from the right side against Parker. And I didn't mention Jeimer Candelario at first, but I'll mention him at third because it's, I think, a weaker position. So in a red stack, Candelario looks perfectly fine.
Wonderful. How about shortstop?
Shortstop, not as deep as it usually is. Not as top heavy either, though. Ellie De La Cruz, perfectly fine. Mason Wynn might be the value guy people go to. Mookie Betts, he is another good player. You should play from right side against Bailey Falter. I like CJ Abrams quite a bit against Reynaldo Lopez leading off for Washington. Not projected to pull too much ownership. and Dansby Swanson if you're stacking the Cubs. Decent value play on both sides, I think, tonight.
Chief, your thoughts at short?
I threw in Anthony Volpe leading off against Pablo Lopez. I have respect for Pablo Lopez, but I also like the Yankees today. So definitely think this is a spot where, if he gets on base, he's got some interesting multiple run scoring potential here.
Okay. How about the outfield?
Yeah, so outfield, man, look, as much as I'm not playing the Braves today, I can't fade Marcell Ozuna. Like, he's like the ultimate one-off for me for the Braves. Been one of the best hitters all season. Juan Soto, all the way up top. I've been playing tons of him. Not going to stop today. Aaron Judge, playing tons of him. Not going to stop today. Give me Fernando Tatis. I know he's at the top also, but really like him against Saccone. Cody Bellinger against Green. We've got TJ Friedl leading off against Assad. I like him. I'm okay with Max Kepler. I'm sneakily into the Minnesota side as an alternate stack today, Roth, meaning I'll probably only play them in 3-man's or 4-man's max. But I do like Minnesota in terms of the other side of some of my primary stacks. I think I heard somebody mentioning Jock Peterson facing Randy Vasquez on the previous show, but I really like Jock. I think Arizona has a shot to score some runs tonight, and also think San Diego has a shot. Corbin Carroll leading off like him, and then all the way at the bottom, I'm perfectly fine with like Ian Happ. And when I say the bottom, I'm talking about pricing wise. At 3,800, I really like him today. I think this is a sneaky good spot for him. One other power guy, just a one-off for the Braves, Adam Duvall, strikeouts much lower against lefties, ISO much higher. So really like him at 3,700.
Perfect. Taylor, your thoughts in the outfield?
Yeah, I think he pretty much nailed it. I think Teoscar Hernandez in Dodger stack, obviously hitting fourth, looks good against Falter if you're stacking them. Aaron Judge, good baseball player, worth playing. Mike Tauchman leading off for the Cubs, I think is fine. And Seiya Suzuki, I think, is the one that Will didn't mention, but in a Cubs stack, he's certainly a core play hitting second.
Very good, gentlemen. We have 10 minutes or so until lock. The people want two things. They want some home run calls, and they want their questions answered. Who wants to lead us off with some home runs? Taylor, you feel ready.
I can go first. I'll go out on a limb and say Aaron Judge. I will say Christopher Morel will hit a home run tonight. And on the low end, let's go with Joey Gallo.
Perfect. Chief, you got some names?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jake Cronenworth. I'm also going with my good friend, all the way. No, I'm just kidding. Rafael Devers. I'm going with Rafael Devers. And then last but not least, once again, as much as I do not like Atlanta today, these two one-offs, I'm going with both of them, Roth. Ozuna and oh my gosh, geez, what's the guy's name?
Duvall.
Ozuna and Duvall. Those two guys, man, big time power potential here.
Okay. Good stuff, guys. Let's dive into a few of these QQs here. Some people bringing in the questions. Also, make sure you hit us with the thumbs up. It's free content. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We're answering your questions, giving you weather updates. And all we ask is that you hit that thumbs up and maybe sign up for RotoGrinders Premium as well. You got all kinds of sports going on right now. And you can get a 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price for $69.99. That is a savings of $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months. You can get your first month of RG Premium, $40 off right now. And if you just want to test the waters a little bit, $19.99 for 3 whole days. Can't even feed yourself for 3 days, but you can get $19.99. You can get some RG Premium for 3 days. So make sure you are checking that out. Gonna pop off in the RG Discord here where everybody knows, kind of scrolling up, everybody knows Dallas is going to win the series. They are correct there in the RG Discord. That's where the smart kids are. FanDuel GPP, Chief, Assad or Bueller?
Ooh, give me Bueller.
Okay. DK Cash in the outfield. Taylor, I'm coming to you. 3,800 or less in the outfield in cash.
Probably Adam Duvall off the top of my head, but I can double check, but for now, Duval is who I'd say.
Okay. 2 questions from Chinatown. Will Chief take head-to-head action? What's the handle?
It's Chief Justice 06. I made it very simple.
Get
It's
some.
the same everywhere.
Get some. Okay, that's fun. Also, should I give my dog a bath? His allergies are acting up. Sure. He probably smells too at this point. Yeah. I say give him a bath.
Or you could go buy some poof.
Buy some what?
Poof.
What is poof?
I have poof. Yeah, I have a poof bottle as well.
What is poof?
You spray and it's supposed to eliminate the poop smell.
Okay. This is not for dogs. This is for.
No, it is, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah, it's for any
well,
animal.
it's any
Dogs,
human
cats.
or animal.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize.
Anything that poops. Yeah.
Well, that's why I asked. I was like, is this just hang around the bathroom? Okay.
Odor eliminator.
There we go. Okay. You get some pro tips there. I wasn't aware this was a thing. Razzle Dazzles says, Taylor, it's a 2v2 DK Cash, Devers and D Smith, or Moral and Arias.
Ooh,
Definitely Devers and Smith, right?
Yeah, that's why I agree 100%.
Okay. What else do we have? Scrolling up just a little bit, see what we got going on here in the YouTube chat. Chief FanDuel Cash, you want TJ, Arenado, or Goldie? Or wait, was that to TJ? Was this directed to TJ? Because there is no TJ. Is TJ a person?
There's TJ Friedel. I don't know if that's who he's talking about.
Would he fit in the price range of TJ Friedel, Arenado, or Goldie?
It was DK.
It was FanDuel Cash.
No, yeah, DK would have. Even still, I think I go Goldie in this spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Next time you're dropping a TJ Friedel on us. You know what? He was asking our guy TJ in the chat, Moosmanzada. TJ Moosmanzada. That's what happened there. All right. That makes sense. Let's see. Chief Brandon says, hey, I came in late. Any interest in a red stack?
Absolutely.
Hammer says, Taylor, any Javier, or do I have my head up my ass side? That's good.
I don't have any of him. I think he's been kind of lucky and he's due to regress. So I'm on the red side of that one.
Okay. Taylor,
Let me say this. I do have a pinch, but I have a pinch because basically he's facing the Reds back-to-back. So I'm fully expecting him to get his head bashed in today. But I got a pinch just in case.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Chris says, hey, speaking of Friedel, any pinch hit risk? Taylor, do you happen to know Friedel's pinch hit risk?
Let's see. Let me pull that up real quick. No, not really. According to the bat, he does not have. He has 1% pinch hit risk, so seems unlikely.
Okay, great. Dean pointing out the movie Envy, where I think it was Jack Black, right? I think he invented a Poo Be Gone product. The Vaporize. It was the Vaporize. Yeah. That's a good one, man. Let's see. Grillmaster says, how can these experts be so different all the time? Something fishy is going on here. Are you guys up to something fishy because you have different takes?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean they're giving their opinion on how they feel the future will play out. It is not they are not always going to have the same exact thoughts. Let's see. Joseph says, Chief, Judge, Morel, or Devers Duran?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm still going Devers Duran because, listen, Devers got a much easier matchup here. But if you play Judge Morel, I'm not going to tell you it's the worst thing in the world. But I go the opposite of those two questions.
Okay. Coming right back to you here, Chief. Brendan says, DK Cash, Pages, or Duval?
I got to go Duval in this situation.
We've got 3 minutes until lock. We got a few QQs coming in. Did I miss this one from J Sams? I may have. Taylor, Ref Snyder and Reynolds or Duval Duran?
I think Duval Duran sounds a little bit better.
Okay. Taylor, right back to you. FanDuel single entry. Any interest in a San Diego stack?
Yeah, I think Chief said he was on them, so I trust Chief's judgment on that.
Very good. Chinatown says, DK Cash, Chief, any Boston must plays? Says I got no Red Sox and it feels weird.
Definitely Devers. And I mean, Dom Smith is just really cheap. He's 2,800 today. Like, listen, guys, they're paid. TJ mentioned it, not TJ, Taylor mentioned it. Woodford is god awful. Like, they should have a field day.
Yeah. Okay. Another one for you, Chief, here from Beaner, FanDuel, GPP. Bellinger or Morel?
Give me Bellinger.
Yep, that's me, says DK, GPP, Taylor, Bueller, Judge, Hurtubise, or Hauk, Vargas, and Jaron Duran.
I think the Hauk one's going to be a lot more popular. So try the first one.
This is just a wonderful post-lock question, or if the question stopped, we're going to this. Paul's got a pizza question for us. It seems very important. FanDuel single entry, last piece. This is a tough one. I'll make you both say it, Soto or Ohtani.
My guy's been Soto all year, so I'm going Soto. And I knew Taylor was going Ohtani, so yep. I guess once again we're going to continue to be fishy.
Something fishy is going on here, guys. We've got roughly a minute until lock. Yeah, there's still a couple questions before pizza talk. Beaner says, Taylor, do you trust Parker in a FanDuel GPP?
I don't trust him. I'm playing the Braves pretty heavily, so he's good. Like, he's been good, and he's a fine shot because Atlanta's been kind of underwhelming, but I'm going back to the well and tilting the Braves tonight.
Okay. Let's see. Juice says, Chief, Bueller and Rafaela or Vasquez and Devers, FanDuel GPP?
Bueller and Rafaela because I'm not playing basket.
Okay. Okay. All right. You seem offended. And yeah, I approve. You're like, nah, not doing it. DK Cash, Chief, Barnes or Amaya?
Amaya.
Okay. All right. Very good. That's a new name to me. But all right. Hey, we basically
come
up on the
lock. That's who that is.
Gotcha. Your favorite topping on pizza? He listed a bunch of them. You guys know what comes on pizza. This seems a very important question. And then I'm going to learn a lot about you guys through this question. It can be multiple toppings. I think that's fair. So, Chief, I will go to you first for your go-to favorite pizza topping.
Sausage, pepperoni, extra cheese.
Damn, that's fire. Like, it's tough to go against, like, just kind of a meat lovers style. Extra cheese, that's pretty good. Taylor, come with something crazy, California. Give me artichokes and guacamole.
I do like artichoke. I do like pineapple on pizza, which is offensive to many. I'm a buffalo chicken guy, though. I love buffalo chicken anything. So buffalo chicken pizza does it for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm down with that. I can't say no to the spiciness and the fattiness of a pepperoni with the sweetness of pineapple. Just pepperoni, pineapple, that sweetness, that saltiness. It's just like, mwah.
So you are on team pineapple on pizza with me, which is not a popular thing.
I think it's the right team to be on. I was not on that team for a long time. And then I tried and I was like, yeah, no, this is it. This is freaking delicious. Don't knock it until you rock it. If you think it just sounds gross, try it and you may change your mind. With that, we have done all the things that we came here to do. We have hit lock and you guys gave all the info we needed. We're going to bounce on out of here. So for Chief, for Taylor, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. Let's go, Mavs. You have been crushed.